June 28, 1998. Mick Foley was thrown 16 feet from a steel cage and crashed through an announcer's table, losing a tooth and nearly his life. 5 weeks later, Steve Austin's neck was shattered by a single mistimed piledriver. These aren't just highlights, they are the most painful injuries in WWE history. But what if the real story isn't what you saw on pay-per-view? Here's what most fans never learn about the moment pain rewrote wrestling forever. 16 feet above the ring, Mick Foley stared down at the chaos below, every inch of the hell-in-a-cell structure promising pain. On June 28, 1998, at King of the Ring, Foley, wrestling as Mankind, agreed to a risk most performers would never consider. The Undertaker hurled him from the cage, sending him crashing through the Spanish announcer's table. The impact dislodged a tooth, drove it through his lip, and left his jaw dislocated. For a brief moment, Foley's body lay motionless, surrounded by splintered wood and scattered monitors. Medics rushed in, but Foley refused the stretcher, climbing back up the cell with blood in his mouth and a shoulder out of place. Minutes later, the roof gave way. Foley plummeted again, this time through steel mesh, landing hard on the ring below. A folding chair followed, smashing into his face and puncturing his lip. He later wrote that he was out on his feet, running on instinct. The match continued, but so did the damage. A concussion, a separated shoulder, multiple punctures from thumbtacks, and a memory so fractured that Foley had to watch the tape to recall what happened. That night, the cost was not just visible in the blood or the missing tooth. Chronic pain became a permanent part of Foley's life, with false teeth and a jaw that never fully healed. His willingness to endure such trauma set a new standard for risk in WWE, but the price was written across his body for decades to come. August 3rd, 1997. The crowd at SummerSlam watched as Steve Austin squared off against Owen Hart for the Intercontinental Championship. In the middle of the match, Hart lifted Austin for a reverse piledriver, a move that demands precise positioning. Austin's head was set too low between Hart's thighs. As Hart dropped, the entire force of both bodies drove straight down onto Austin's neck. The impact compressed his cervical spine, a textbook case of axial loading. For a moment, Austin could not move his arms or legs. He lay on the mat, staring at the lights, numb from the neck down. He later described the sensation as terrifying, a rush of panic, and the realization that his career, or even his ability to walk, might be over in an instant. Medical scans revealed a broken neck and a ruptured cervical disc. Doctors warned of permanent damage, but Austin refused to quit. Within 3 months, he returned to the ring, but things had changed. The injury forced him to abandon technical wrestling and high-risk moves. Instead, he adapted his style, relying on brawling, quick punches, and his signature stunner. The pain never left. Nerve damage lingered, and Austin's neck would haunt him for the rest of his career, eventually pushing him into early retirement. That single moment in 1997 became a turning point, not just for Austin, but for how wrestlers and fans understood the risks hiding inside the ring. May 21, 2001. Triple H charged across the ring during a tag team match on Raw, his momentum carrying him into a routine sequence against Chris Jericho. In an instant, his left quadriceps muscle tore completely away from the bone. The sound he later recalled was like a gunshot inside his own body. Triple H collapsed, clutching his thigh, but the match kept going. With a tendon no longer anchoring his leg, he somehow managed to finish the bout, even allowing himself to be locked in the walls of Jericho as the pain reached its peak. Backstage, doctors delivered the news: a full-thickness quad tendon rupture. Surgery was scheduled within days. The procedure required reattaching the torn muscle to the kneecap with heavy sutures and anchors, a repair that would need months to heal. For 8 months, Triple H disappeared from WWE television, his days filled with physical therapy, muscle stimulation, and slow, grinding rehabilitation. Each session tested not just his leg, but his resolve to return at the level fans expected. When Triple H finally walked back into Madison Square Garden in January 2002, the scar in his thigh was a reminder of what it cost to come back. The injury forced him to rethink his in-ring style, less explosive, more deliberate, with an increased focus on technical holds and ring awareness. The quad tear did not just sideline a champion. It changed the way he moved, fought, and built his legacy in the years that followed. Edge spent years pushing through the grind of the WWE schedule, absorbing countless bumps that most fans never noticed. By 2011, the pain in his neck had become impossible to ignore. Medical scans revealed cervical spinal stenosis, a dangerous narrowing of the spinal canal in his neck. For Edge, this was not just another injury. Stenosis meant his spinal cord was being squeezed, putting him at risk for permanent nerve damage or even paralysis from a single wrong fall. On April 11, 2011, he stood in the ring on Raw and announced his retirement. The news stunned the wrestling world. Edge was only 37, still holding the World Heavyweight Championship, but the threat to his nerves and his future was too great to ignore. Doctors explained that years of accumulated trauma had left his spinal canal dangerously tight. The numbness and tremors in his arms were warnings that could not be ignored. The medical team for WWE refused to clear him, and Edge walked away, forced to leave, behind the career he loved. For nearly a decade, he stayed retired, watching from the sidelines as others took the risks he no longer could. Then, in 2020, Edge did what few thought possible. After corrective surgery and a long, careful process of medical evaluations, he received clearance to return to the ring. His comeback at the Royal Rumble was not just a personal victory. It was a testament to advances in medical science and a new era of safety standards in WWE. Edge's journey from forced retirement to an unlikely return showed how the company's approach to spinal injuries had changed, putting long-term health above short-term spectacle. Daniel Bryan spent years thrilling crowds with a high-energy style that came at a hidden cost. In wrestling, a concussion is a type of brain injury caused by a sudden blow or jolt, leading to headaches, confusion, and sometimes memory loss. Bryan suffered several of these over his career, each one stacking risk on top of risk. By 2016, medical scans and neurological tests revealed that his brain had reached a threshold where one more impact could mean permanent damage. On February 8, 2016, Bryan stood in the ring and announced his retirement. His voice shook as he explained the danger to his health. The news stunned the WWE universe. For 2 years, Bryan remained on the sidelines, undergoing tests and working with specialists. In 2018, after being cleared by a team of neurologists, he made his return, wrestling again, but with every match closely monitored by medical staff. Shawn Michaels' career nearly ended with a single blow to the lower back. In 1998, during a match with The Undertaker, Michaels' spine collided with the edge of a ringside coffin and ruptured discs in his lumbar region. The injury forced him into surgery, where doctors fused his L4 and L5 vertebrae using metal hardware. Recovery was grueling. For 4 years, Michaels disappeared from the ring, missing the height of the Attitude Era and leaving fans to wonder if he would ever return. Interviews from that period revealed the uncertainty he faced. Doctors told him wrestling again was unlikely. Yet the X-ray of his fused spine became a symbol of both the pain he endured and the resilience that would define his legacy when he finally returned in 2002. A spine surgeon describes the dangers of wrestling's most common injuries. Cervical fusion, often needed after a broken neck or severe disc damage, can require 6 to 12 months of recovery before a return to full activity. Even then, the risk of nerve damage or paralysis remains. Neurologists warn that repeated concussions, like those seen in Daniel Bryan's case, can lead to memory loss, depression, and long-term brain changes. Recognizing these risks, WWE introduced the wellness policy in 2006, mandating regular medical screenings and drug testing. By 2008 and 2009, unprotected chair shots to the head were banned, and moves with high spinal risk faced new restrictions. These policies reflect a growing commitment to protecting athletes' long-term health, even as the demands of the ring continue to push human limits. Every night, superstars step into the ring knowing the risks are real. Despite wellness policies and medical advances, career-ending injuries still reshape lives in an instant. The spectacle continues, but the human cost remains. Pain is never just part of the show. What do you think? Is it worth it?